Now that you've added all your items to your FBA batch and submitted it to Amazon, it's time to box everything. This video will cover how to complete the box it step for all SPD shipments and LTL Pack First shipments. If you're working on a Pack Last shipment, see our video, Box It for LTL Pack Last, on InventoryLab.3colts.support. Depending on what items you included in your batch, Amazon may organize them into pack groups. You'll see these as group tabs near the top of your screen. Some items can only be accepted by specialized fulfillment centers, such as hazmat, unlabeled, or oversized items. Amazon uses pack groups to make sure no item ends up in a fulfillment center that can't process it. Within each group, you'll see your boxes on the left and your items on the right. You'll only have one empty box when you start. You'll see a checkbox for the option Show Only Unboxed Items at the top of the right column. Tick this if you only want to see the items you still have to box. Below that, you have each product's listing image, title, MSKU, prep type, ASIN, FNSKU, condition, and expiration date. You'll also see the UPC if InventoryLab has successfully collected it. Finally, if your batch has box contents on, the quantity of unboxed items will appear here. Before putting any items in boxes, make sure you've labeled all of your items that had label owner set to seller during Find It. You can get any you still need by using Bulk Edit. Click the checkbox button on the right of the search bar. Tick the boxes next to any items that need labels. Then hit Print Labels at the bottom of the screen to use a thermal label printer, or Print 30 up labels to use an inkjet or laser printer. If you only select one item, the correct number will appear automatically. You can always enter any number you want though, and you'll get exactly that many labels for each product you selected. Once you have all your labels, make sure all your quantities are correct. It's much better to catch an error now than it is to catch it later. If you do discover that any of your quantities are incorrect, click Find It at the top of the screen. You'll see this warning message. The Print Pick List option is only important if you've already started boxing items. If you have, InventoryLab will try to save all your box information, but the pick list will give you a written record in case anything goes wrong. Click Continue to go back to Find It. After a moment, you'll arrive back on the Find It screen. Click the kebab menu on the right of the item that needs its quantity updated, then select Edit Item. Make any needed changes, then click Update Item. Once all your edits are done, hit Continue to box it. Now that you've verified your quantities and labeled your items, let's get boxing. You can go ahead and simply put your items in boxes now if you have box contents off. For everyone else, here's how to make sure you provide accurate box contents to Amazon. If you have a scanner connected, click Scan in the box area. The text will switch to Listening. You can now scan each item as you add it to your box. Scanning your own FNSKU labels is the most reliable option, but you can also scan the UPC barcode if you see the item's UPC here on the right. The quantity on the right will decrease by 1 with each scan, and the quantity in the box will increase by 1. This makes scanning a great way to make sure your box quantities are completely accurate. InventoryLab can play some satisfying sounds as you scan. This is managed by using the speaker icon in the upper right. While this is turned on, you'll hear when you scan a valid item, and if you scan something that doesn't belong in this group. You can turn this off if you prefer to work in silence. Another option is to scan a single unit of an item into a box. Then, pack in as many units as you want. Finally, mouse over the item in the box in InventoryLab, click the pencil icon, and update the quantity. If you don't have a scanner, click into the quantity field and change it to the number you want to put in the box. Then hit the Add To button. This item will now appear in the box in the quantity you specified. The number you have waiting to be boxed on the right will be reduced as well. It's important to note that Amazon allows up to 100 ASINs per box. However, if you chose to submit box contents using 2D barcodes earlier, each barcode will have a limit of 700 characters. This is typically hit around 40 ASINs, and you may get an error if you try packing in more. Hit New Box anytime you need another box. When you scan in an item or hit Add to Box, the item will go to whichever one you currently have selected on the left. If you ever put an item in the wrong box, mouse over the item and click the pencil icon. Choose Move Quantity at the top. Enter how many you want to move and select the box you want to put them in. Then hit the Move to Box button. Now let's talk about weights and dimensions. You'll have to deal with these even if you have box contents off. You can add all required measurements to each box as you finish packing it. Click Add Dimensions/Weight and fill in the box's length, width, height, and weight. Then hit Save Dimensions. Keep in mind that Amazon does not accept boxes that weigh over 50 pounds or measure over 25 inches long unless they contain a single oversized item. Anytime you finish with the measurements for a box, we strongly recommend that you print and apply the box's packing ID label. This is critical for identifying which box gets which FBA labels later on. If you have a thermal label printer, hit the Print button to get the packing ID label instantly. You can also click the arrow next to it and choose Print Packing ID Label. Printing labels with other kinds of printers can only be done using bulk edit. This method also allows you to print labels for multiple boxes at once. Click the checkbox icon at the top of the Boxes column. Tick the checkbox for any box or boxes you want labels for. Then choose Print Packing ID 30 Up Labels, or, for a thermal label printer, Print Packing ID Labels. You'll then get labels for every selected box. The packing ID is the same as the code shown on each box here in BoxIt. You'll see P1-B1 on your first box and its packing ID label. This stands for Packing Group 1, Box 1. Be careful to apply the label to the matching box. That's all you need to know about dealing with one box at a time. But if this feels tedious, there are some much faster ways to box items and enter box weights and dimensions en masse. These are especially helpful if you're packing multiple identical boxes to qualify for Amazon optimized shipment splits. If you have a lot of one product, enough to fill multiple boxes of the same size, the fastest option is QuickBox. This is also the option you should use for any case-packed items. Click QuickBox under the item, enter the box dimensions, then fill in the total number of identical boxes you'll pack, the quantity of the item you'll put in each box, and the total packed weight of each box. Finally, hit Create and Pack Boxes. All your boxes will appear in an instant. You can also create one or more exact copies of a single box you've already created. Click the kebab menu on its right, then hit Copy Box. You'll be asked how many copies you wish to make. The number that appears automatically is the max number of exact copies possible with the inventory you have left. Leave this number as is or decrease it, then hit OK. You'll see your new copies on the left. The number of items remaining on the right will also drop automatically. Even if you have box contents off, Copy Box can still be handy. Use it to create multiple boxes with identical weights and dimensions. You can enter any number of copies, since there's no specific inventory tied to each box in this case. While we were copying boxes, you may have noticed the Delete Box option in the kebab menu. You can safely delete any box you don't want if you haven't applied any packing ID labels yet. If you have, note that deleting one box will change the packing ID number of any other boxes coming after it. You'll need to carefully confirm each box has the correct packing ID and replace any that have changed. Otherwise, your boxes could end up with the wrong FBA labels and even go to the wrong fulfillment centers. One last trick. You can also duplicate multiple boxes at the same time. Hit the checkbox icon above the boxes area to activate bulk edit. Then, check each box you want to copy. Finally, hit duplicate at the bottom of the screen. A single copy of each selected box will be created if possible. Your remaining unboxed items will go down accordingly. In batches with box contents on, anytime you finish adding all units of a product to your boxes, you'll see Boxing Complete. Keep going until this message appears on every item on the right. Of course, your job may not be finished once you've boxed everything in this group. Check if you have more than one group in the tabs near the top of the screen. If so, click into the next one to get started. The progress bar under each group will turn fully green once all items have been boxed. When you've completed every group, hit Next in the lower right. If you haven't filled out the weight and dimensions for any of your boxes yet, you'll be asked to finish now. Using this modal can be a fast way to enter your box weights and dimensions. However, it isn't possible to print packing ID labels here yet, which could make it difficult to match the correct labels to your boxes later on. We therefore recommend closing the modal and entering weights and dimensions for one box at a time. Once you've finished filling out all weights and dimensions and clicked Next, you'll be asked to choose your ship date. Select the date you want the carrier to pick up your boxes. Finally, hit Confirm. Nice work getting everything boxed up. You're almost done. Next up, check out our Ship It guides for help sending your boxes to Amazon.